Today, friends, we're going to talk about glaucoma. What is it, and how can it be treated? It's an increase in intraocular pressure. Look, our eye is like a little ball. Basically, it's a ball like an inflated ball, and at the same time, fluid constantly enters our eye with the blood. Because of this, the eye is kind of puffed up, filled inside, like a ball that's been filled up. At the same time, fluid also drains from the eye, and it drains through a special opening called the Schlimm's canal. Both the inflow and outflow of fluid happen constantly, maintaining the optimal intraocular pressure that the eye needs. So, intraocular pressure should be, if you measure it, between 16 and 20 millimeters of mercury. This is the optimal pressure in the eye that keeps it healthy. Unfortunately, often due to inflammatory processes or other pathologies inside the eye, the Schlimm's canal, the little hole through which intraocular fluid drains, ends up being partially or completely blocked, and because of this, more fluid starts entering the eye than leaving it. And then the fluid pressure inside the eye begins to rise. An increase in fluid pressure inside the eye is called glaucoma. This is a frightening condition because the rise in intraocular fluid leads to the compression of the retina's light-sensitive cells. As a result, the retina dies, gets crushed, is destroyed, and the person develops irreversible blindness. At first, visual fields are lost, and the person's vision narrows. The cones suffer the most. That is, there are rods and cones in the eye. Rods only detect light, while cones are responsible for color perception, meaning different colors. It is these cells, being more highly specialized, that die first. And as a result, a person's color vision is affected. The visual fields shrink to the point where a person can only see using the macula, that spot on our retina that sees the most. And glaucoma is a huge problem that robs people of their sight. It's a tragedy. How should we fight glaucoma? Well, how? Well, they use eye drops. The drops slightly tone the eye and improve venous outflow. Sometimes they try to do corrective surgeries. Sometimes it helps, but only sometimes. Remember the rule, an operated eye shouldn't be operated on at all, but an operated eye will never see normally again. This is the golden rule of ophthalmology. That's why surgery is done only as an absolute last resort. Yes, sometimes they do them here, but honestly, they shouldn't because it leads to blindness in people. You shouldn't operate on eyes. You need to treat them in another way. It's just too delicate a structure to go in there with a knife. But still, what can actually be done for glaucoma? I'll tell you about a method that has already shown results, and probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of people have improved and normalized their intraocular pressure. I'm not saying they've completely restored their vision. Sometimes that's just not possible. But this method has produced results in restoring normal intraocular pressure. So, let me introduce you to a source of infrared heat, which, in terms of its parameters, is just like the warmth of my own body. This is a jade or maybe a germanium projector. It can be heated, attention, to any temperature. With glaucoma, you don't need to heat the eyes themselves. For glaucoma, you heat it up to 45, 50, even 70 degrees. You heard that right. You didn't mishear. Even 70 degrees. And after that, use the projector to massage the brow area, the temple area, and the area under the eye. Massage all three areas around the eye in circular motions, but without heating the eye itself. Massage for about 10 to 15 minutes on one eye, then 10 to 15 minutes on the other eye. Do this 2 to 5 times a day. As practice has shown, massaging near the eye with this kind of germanium projector, a jade projector, leads to the elimination of the inflammatory process that was pinching this helmet-shaped channel, making it difficult for the intraocular fluid to drain. And that's exactly what needed to be done so that the fluid could drain properly from the eye. As a result, people who performed this kind of massage saw their normal eye pressure restored in a very short time. They go to the ophthalmologist for a checkup. The ophthalmologist measures and says, "Your pressure has normalized. It's a miracle. Our treatment worked." But the patient didn't even undergo that treatment. Sometimes they didn't even use the eye drops. So if you have eye problems, you can warm your eyes, but if you have increased intraocular pressure, you shouldn't warm your eyes. In that case, you just need to use the projector to massage around one eye, then the other, several times a day, and probably after 2 or 3 weeks, measure the pressure. You'll see that your intraocular pressure will start to normalize. This is one of the best ways you can help your eyes if you have glaucoma.